So I've just bought this Astra with no MOT for £525, and with fees I paid £797. So it's a 2012 Vauxhall Astra with 128,000 miles. It does look like the previous owner has reversed into a pole, as you can see, and the rear bumper just needs clipping back in because it's literally out of alignment. But this is the car that I've bought. Interior is pretty clean, to be honest. It's not dirty, so I won't really need to give the inside a clean because it's already a clean car, as you can see. The engine runs good, nice and smooth. It just needs an MOT, and it'll sort out this mirror thing here because that's broken as well. So far the engine runs pretty good, and we're going on the first drive and see how this car drives. There is a bit of a knocking coming from the rear left, so maybe it needs a shock absorber or something, because there is a bit of knocking coming from the rear left. But apart from that, the car drives really good. It goes into all the gears, everything works, car drives straight. Yeah, so apart from the little knocking on the rear left, the car drives really good. So I checked the tyre on the Astra, and the inside bit of the tyre is bald on the driver's side. All the other tyres are good, so I'm on my way to the tyre shop to get a new tyre as I got the MOT booked in tomorrow. And I need to get some bulbs for the car as well, because the daytime running light bulb is gone. So I'm gonna have to pop to Euro Car Parts and get that as well.
Fixing everything the high mileage Astra needs to pass MOT. The two front tyres are bald and that won't pass MOT, so let's get some new ones. I went to Sam's Tyres and got two Part 1 tyres for £70. And I got given two Michelin Part 1 tyres. The brake light on the passenger side wasn't working, so let's change the bulb.
Let's get the rear brake light bulb out. This bulb is blown.
The passenger side daytime running light was also blown, so let's go to GSF Parts and get some new bulbs. I got the new bulbs, let's get back and fit it to the car.
Getting this headlight bulb out has been an absolute nightmare. They've got a screw here, a screw here, a screw here, and also one right underneath there. Finally, the bloody headlight's out, and I could get this thing out, finally. The daytime running lights also work now. So that's it, guys. The car is done and ready for the MOT. All the lights have been changed, and I've also clipped in the rear bumper. So keep tuned for the next video, because we're going to get the car MOT'd and hopefully it passes the MOT with no advisories. So quick update on the Astra. The Astra has been an absolute money pit. So I bought this Vauxhall Astra from BCA auction with no MOT. I got the MOT done and the car failed MOT, but before I got the MOT done, I put two new front tyres on, as you can see. Two new front tyres, and I thought that the car was going to pass MOT because that's what it needed, but then it failed on the drop link dust covers and also the drive shaft boot, just one of them. So I put two new drop links on, drive shaft boot, and that's done. Then on the way home from my mechanic, the car started overheating, and then I realised there's a coolant leak from a coolant pipe. The high mileage Astra is losing its coolant and overheating, and we're going to fix that issue by changing this pipe.
And this is where the coolant pipe is leaking from. Let's get the airbox off so we can have access to that coolant pipe.
I got this clamp off, which was a bit of a pain, but let's try and get this pipe off.
It's time to disconnect the pipe from the heater matrix and get this old pipe out.
Let's swap the clips over and then put the new pipe on. Finally got this pipe back on after struggling a bit, but yeah, that's on. Now we've got to do the worst side, which is trying to get the pipe on there. The new pipe is now in. This one was actually easier to put on than the other pipe. So I've got some coolant that I got to mix myself, so I'm going to mix the coolant and let's pour the coolant in the coolant tank. I've put too much coolant in, but let's start the car up and bleed the coolant system, and the coolant should drop and I should be able to top it up some more. And get the heater on so I can bleed the cooling system. See there, this heater matrix pipe I've literally just replaced. I haven't even put the coolant in yet, so I'm going to put the coolant in now. And the pipe was leaking from right down there. That's where the pipe was leaking, so I had to also spend money on that. And then the rear shock is gone because the car's knocking from the rear end on the left. So I bought a new shock from GSF Parts. So right now we're going to replace the shock at the rear and just try to get this car up for sale as soon as possible, because it's been sat about for days waiting for parts. But it's past MOT now with no advisories, which is good. I've also spent a lot of money on it. It's turned into a money pit.
It's time to jack the car up and get the wheel off and do this rear shock.
I managed to get the bolt off using this extension. So this, the jack to hold it up so it doesn't slide off, and this is an extension, and it's coming off now, which is good. Right, it's time to get the bolt out of the top. So just taking off the top mount. And just like that, the shock is back together with the new shock. If you look at the old shock, the bush is literally gone and the shock just goes down very, very easily. So this needed changing.
It's now time to put the new shock in.
The two top bolts are now in and tightened.
And now it's time to put the last bolt in, and hopefully this solves the knocking issue.
The rear shock is now in, hopefully that solved the rear end knock. Let's go for a drive. So I'm just going for a quick drive to see if the car is still knocking from the rear end. Hopefully not. But so far, so good. Yeah guys, no more rear end knocking. No knocking from the rear end now, which is really good. So I'm just going for a long drive to see if the temperature gauge is going to rise at all, and so far so good. The temperature gauge has not risen, but I'm going to go on the M32 and see if it rises or not. The Astra is now complete. I'm just giving it a quick wipe down to take the photographs to get it up for sale, because this car has been a money pit and I'll be happy to see the back of it. Bad news, the high mileage Astra has a massive coolant leak. See, look at all of that coolant right there. This was the pipe I replaced today, and you can see this pipe's new and it's dry, so this is not leaking. The leaking is coming from this side of the engine right below, and if you look right there you can see how wet the subframe is. Look how coolant's dripping on the floor. I think it's coming from the water pump, and the leak isn't coming from any of those pipes because all the pipes are dry because I've checked them.
After further inspection, as you can see, water's just gushing out of the water pump, so I'm gonna have to get a new water pump gasket or a new water pump. Drop a comment down below on what you guys recommend to do.
So guys, I'm gonna have to get a water pump gasket and put a new gasket on the water pump, so keep tuned to see me do that. This car's an absolute nightmare. I thought that the coolant was leaking from the matrix pipe. I bought a new matrix pipe and it ended up still leaking even worse than it was before, and it turns out it was the water pump. This car is an absolute nightmare. So bad news with the Astra. I thought I fixed the coolant leak, but I didn't. If you look right there on the floor, coolant is leaking really bad. And when the car is on, you can see the coolant dripping. So I'm about to pack up now and go home and order the coolant gasket and order the water pump gasket.